Alright, well, I've been getting a lot of attention on my rod page and off Instagram on a Faux Teak rod I recently built over the last week. I've been getting a lot of questions the last 24 hours on how to and tips and tricks and stuff like that. So I figured after somebody's suggestion on my comments that make a quick video of a how to do it. This rod in particular here, this is the rod that everybody was seeing online. It's a 7-foot fast action graphite blank set up, double-footed guide, set up with double-footed guides for surf fishing up in Nantucket Island, around Massachusetts, stripers, and other various nearshore saltwater species. Got a very light tip, a lot of backbone though to it to really turn them around, but enough lightness in the tip to feel those very slight thumps and to be able to pitch small baits to match what's going on around the surf when a small fry around. But anyways, so now with that rod, like I was saying, how to. So what I do basically is any old random blank that you're using, doesn't matter what color. This one here happens to be a black blank, and I've painted it to this khaki tan color. Now, people were asking me this morning what paints I use. This is the paint I use right here. It's Rust-Oleum paint and primer. It's the khaki color. It's a gloss. That's all I use. Just shoot them. And like I said, I've already shot this one just for the sake of the video, but shoot them, just get a nice even coat on the rod blank. You don't want to have any runs or any texture to it, because like in any paint job, if you have any texture or any imperfections, paint's only going to magnify them, and it'll really start to come through, especially once you start put clear coat on it and it's building. You already have a little anthill turns into a mountain when you start applying epoxies to it, so on and so forth. I'm sure anybody who's built rods already knows that. So anyways, from there, the second coat is this guy here, just another Rust-Oleum, this stain. Now I use, if you notice, it's the premium latex paint. I guess it is paint, not stain. Stand corrected. Anyways, it's latex and not the oil-based. Reason is for your finish. If you're using oil-based, you're going to wind up with a lot of fisheye. With latex, you're still going to deal with the fisheye a little bit, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as it will if you have the oil. If you did this with an oil-based stain or paint, good luck getting any epoxy to stick to that blank and cure. How I combat that is, once I get done with the paint job that I'll show you guys here in a minute, I wash very, very meticulously with just regular old isopropyl alcohol, 70%. I've been using it for years. Pretty sure that's what most of the guys you see on the pages use, is that isopropyl alcohol. It removes any imperfections from your fingers, any oil, any potential oil or waxes or any contaminants that might be cross-contaminated, be either from the paint, from your hands, from your tools. It might have been on the blank initially from when it was rolled, like this blank here was rolled off of a mandrel, and being that it's a hollow blank, they get built and wrapped onto a mandrel. Well, the only way to get anything off of a mandrel, if anybody's ever done any molding, the only way to get anything off of a mandrel is by using wax initially when it's put onto the mandrel, so that it doesn't when it's baked in the oven to cure it, it doesn't cook it to the mandrel, and it's still removable. So like I was saying, that alcohol helps remove all those imperfections and potential contaminants that are going to ultimately affect your finish. Because after you're done with this secondary coat of the darker stuff, you're going to be ready for wrapping guides and butt wraps and deco wraps and whatnot. And then after that is your epoxy phase. But real quick, back to this. I use the Satin Espresso is the color I use. Now when you open it up, and I'll try and show you guys here in a second, when you open it up, it doesn't have as true of a color as the paint, the spray does that I use to shoot the blanks for my base coat. When you open this stuff up, it's got almost this like weird purple color to it, and the first time I opened it, I was like, no way, this is gonna look horrible. But I gave it the benefit of the doubt, let it dry, and it turned out awesome. It dries up nice and almost like a dark chestnut brown, like reminds me of similar to like a cherry wood or something. It's just got a little slight hint of reddish to it, but it's got a very true full brown color to it, which is what I was initially going after. Now, everybody has their own preferences. You want to go a lighter base, you can go a lighter base. You can go a darker base if you want. Some people like the reddish hues that teak has in it, and a freshly sanded, cleaned teak deck on sport boats. So for your base coat with the spray paint, you could go something that's got a little more of that hue to it. These are just the colors that I use. This is how I do it. It's just the way that it's worked for me. I've done a bunch of rods like this. I get a lot of attention from them. Unknowingly, I didn't expect it at all. It was all trial and error. I figured it out myself. That's why I wanted to make the videos, to help other people do it themselves as well. But anyway, so I guess I'll get to it here. So what I do is like I said, I got this rod already shot with the khaki spray paint. It's nice and dry now. So I just put it on my dryer mower on one of my rod lathes and get it spinning. I use a 9 RPM. I think it's like 9 to 15 RPMs or something. It's one of the slower motors. That's what I use to do this with. Open this up here. Get her stirred up a little bit and show you how to do it. When you're applying this, I found over trial and error again, trick to it is to apply it liberally and then pull it off. What you don't want there, where you want the khaki to show through. If you try and put it on light and then pull it, it's just going to look even lighter, and by the time you're done, you don't have hardly any of the second coat covering up the base coat of the khaki, and it doesn't really wind up looking like much. So I'll zoom you guys in here so you can see what I'm doing. I'll try to get this as best I can for a good view for y'all. But like I said, get a fair amount on there and apply it pretty liberally. And then this stuff does dry pretty quick. Not as fast as spray paint, but it does dry pretty quick. You could maybe do half the blank to a third of this blank before it started to kick on this end. So I just go as I work as I go, and I cover and then I come back and I pull, and then I cover and I come back and I pull, and I just keep working my way through it, kind of like how you'd lay down your finish epoxy. Same similar process there. But anyway, so start here. Say this is where my foregrip is going to be laid out to. We'll start there. Start just inside of that, and we'll just start putting it on. And like I said, put it on pretty liberally. Get more when needed. So you're coating it up pretty good like that. Get a little more for this area here. So now that it's on, I'll start spreading it. Just slowly pulling it down the blank, using the bristles, and not a whole lot of weight from the hand, but just a little bit of weight out of my hand, but letting the bristles do their job and create lines and kind of part the paint. Now, as you work your way down, you want to try and cover up any real obvious brush strokes where you came back down. So what I do is I just go back to the beginning and I just slowly pull them through. And as the rod blank is rotating, you start to get a little bit of a twist because you're pulling straight lines over something that's rotating circularly. So you start pulling it like that, just like I'm doing here, and as you can see, it's starting to get that wood grain look. So all you're doing really at this point is just moving it around to where you want it to be. And if you see something like right in here, if you look right there, there's a brush stroke mark. So I'll just pull that out, and you just pull it right out. And there's another one here, a little imperfection from the initial paint job, or a hair or something. I think it's a hair from the brush. So it's not a big deal. No sense in sticking your finger in it and screwing your paint job up. Just pull it out. So you just keep working your way up. And like I said, I like to let it spin while I'm doing this because it kind of gives it a little bit of a texture. But anyway, so once you get that set up and you start pulling your straight lines, and then it starts to cure, keep pulling, and then I switch to a little bit of a, not dead straight, but maybe 10 degrees off straight, and pull them just a little bit sideways, and it starts to give you more of that wood look now, especially now that it's starting to kick. I don't know if you guys can see that in the video here, but I'll let that sit for a minute. See if I can get a white background behind it so it maybe focuses a little better for you guys. As you can see there, it's starting to really resemble the faux teak or wood grain look that people are always after. Now once you've done that, like I said, you just keep working your way up the blank. Keep pulling it and working your way towards the tip. And you just do it in sections like that. You, like I said, you do a little bit and then you pull. And then you add a little more and then you pull it down. And you add a little more and then you pull it down some more. And you just work your way down the blank like that. Take your time, but also, you know, be aware that this stuff does dry pretty quickly unless you're using something different. Like I said, this is just what I use. I'm sure there's a million ways to do it. This is the way that I do it though, and that's what I found my little tips and tricks with it, is that you do small pieces and then keep moving. Do small pieces and keep moving. So at that point, that's all set to roll. Just let it hang out. As you can see now that it's starting to dry, it really shows through with the undertones and lets the dark layers start to darken up to the nice brown color that we're after there, and it really brings it to life and it looks pretty realistic. That's I mean, it's pretty much it. It's like I said earlier in one of my posts, it's not as hard as people think it is when they see it. It's more just time consuming and just being gentle with the brush. No heavy strokes. If you want a little heavier stroke to pull a little more of that undertone out, you can, but I don't recommend any real heavy application of the hand. I let the brush just do a thing all by itself, and I mean, as you can see, that's all I did here, and you can see all the different variations of the color just from doing that. And I just use a very, very fine brushes. I got it washing off here. I guess I should have showed you guys initially. It's just a fine hair brush, but it's about a 1/2 inch wide. That's all it is there. It's got paint all over it, obviously, cleaning it off here and thinner, but that's all I use. And then to do my epoxy over the top of that, I just use these throwaways. That's it. I get them at Walmart. I buy them by like the 100 pack for like, I think it's like $2.49 or something for a 100 pack of them. I buy them in bulk and I go through them like crazy. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is the spray paint, khaki, Rust-Oleum, paint primer, and this is the secondary paint. I use Satin Espresso, again, Rust-Oleum, Ultra Cover, latex. Make sure it's latex. I use a gloss for the spray paint and a latex satin for my top coat to do the teak look. And here it is, just about dry here. And as you can see, I mean, we've got the desired look. As easy as that was, there it is. It's not hard. So, good luck to you guys. If you have any questions, any comments, anything like that, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer messages and help guide any of you guys to get this figured out for yourself. Good luck and have fun.